Hello everyone. Hope am I audible to all of you? Hope I am audible to all of you. Kindly give me yes in the chat box if I am audible. So hello everyone, this is Sudipto and today we're going to talk about another very important case, that is Aligarh Muslim University case. Now last week I have made a video regarding this particular topic, 5 most important cases for your constitutional law. And out of these 5 cases, I have mentioned one of the case is Aligarh Muslim University. Okay. Now this case is important one, and this case I want to start with all of you. The reason being that this case in the fundamental rights chapter for constitutional law, it holds a very important status for your CLAT PG preparation this time. So we are going to understand, deep dive, and get the hang of this particular case thoroughly. Okay. Now, the most important thing regarding this case has a very rich background and very rich history. The reason is it is talking about the minority status of the university. And minority status of the university can only be ascertained and understood from the rich history, who has done it, who has established it, who is administrating it. So all these factors are very, very important for you to understand. So in today's session, we are going to basically talk about one very important thing, that is the history. Okay, we're going to learn the history, what it has done for Aligarh Muslim University, how it has evolved, and then what are the issues that has emerged, then in Aziz Basa what has happened, then the amendment what is done, and later we'll get to understand what is the issue currently in this case. So pre-constitution to post-constitution, what are the major events that Aligarh Muslim University has faced to come here in 2024 to see this particular judgment? Okay, so we are going to dig deep and understand the history. Okay, so let's get into this. But before that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, do subscribe to it. And also, this is a very important case for all of you. Okay, so don't miss out on this thing. The reason being, CLAT which is very near. Okay, so let's start with the history. Okay, the history of the Aligarh Muslim University. I'm going to share the history. I'm going to share the whiteboard, and also I'm going to share the case law itself, Aligarh Muslim University case. Okay, which you'll get to see on the screen. Okay, and as I have told you in the initial part, that I'm going to dig deep regarding the history and how the issue evolved. Because if you understand how this case emerged, okay, how the problem emerged, how the issue emerged, that we need to understand first. अगर आप उसको नहीं समझ पा रहे हो, then it will be very, very difficult for you. What is the solution? Because question is the solution, right? At the end of the day, question अगर सही से समझ में आएगा, आंसर भी समझ में आएगा. अगर क्वेश्चन समझ में नहीं आया, द इशू समझ में नहीं आया, what is the actual problem, the history, how the Article 30 interpretation is there. Okay, so then it will be very difficult for you to understand it thoroughly. Okay, so let's talk about it in detail, how these things will pan out. Now, another very important thing is it's a case of Article 30. Okay, Article 30 interpretation is very much important. Article 30 interpretation, today we are not going to get into the Article 30 interpretation right now, because we're going to get into the history and understand the history better. And then we are going to get into the interpretation of Article 30. In Article 30, there are few words like right to establish, administer. These words we need to understand it very, very thoroughly. Okay, to decode this judgment. नहीं तो ये judgment decode नहीं होने वाला है. ठीक है? And the best part is, as this judgment overruling Aziz Basa, which is another very important judgment. Okay, and also there are a few other cases of that importance getting referred in this particular case, like TMFI Foundation, PA Namdar, which though it is a very little reference have been made in relation to this, but other than that, There are cases like Anjumani Rehmaniya. This case has to be understood how it is done. So this thing you have to go through, and I'll help you go through. ठीक है? It's not that you are going to study it by yourself. ठीक है? हम लोग एक साथ पढ़ेंगे, एक साथ जानेंगे, समझेंगे. ठीक है? तभी आपको समझ में आएगा बेहतर तरीके से कि what it is all about. Okay? So let's start with the Aligarh Muslim University history. Okay, so I'm going to take you to the judgment directly, and I'm going to share the screen with you right now, and then we are going to dig deep regarding this aspect. So once again, just I'm going to share the screen with all of you regarding this. So as once again, I'm going to share the screen with all of you regarding this. Yeah. So Aligarh Muslim University, this case is coming from the Allahabad High Court. Okay. Allahabad High Court, single judge bench and division bench, they have basically given the judgment, and then this case is basically came to Supreme Court into 2019. Then three judge bench referred this case to further larger bench, and that we are hearing in 2024. Okay. Now, having said that, other than these particular instances, we have to go back to the pre-constitution where actually the AMU was established by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen right now to all of you, and we are going to dig deep of this particular judgment. I'm going to share the screen right now. I hope it's visible to all of you. I hope you can see this particular screen. So Aligarh Muslim University, I hope you are able to see it right now. Okay. Now Aligarh Muslim University, this judgment, judgment is a very important for all of you regarding this case. Okay. Now, D.Y. Chandrachud has written this judgment here in this case. Okay. And we are going to get to see some background. So today, I'm not going to get into the whole judgment or any other further understanding, judicial understanding. I'm going to take you to the history, what it is and how it evolved, because you have to understand the AMU from the historical perspective. Then only you'll be able to understand the minority status and how the surrendering of minority status, is it happening, is it not happening, is Aziz Wasa right, is Aziz Wasa not right, then the amendment, what it has done, what it hasn't done, all these aspects going to play a very, very major role to understand the AMU case. Okay, so let's go back to the background. This background has a very rich history altogether. I'm not getting into the too much understanding of it. So here, this if you go to the background from this case perspective, you will not get a lot of things that probably D.Y. Chandrachud has mentioned, but I'll mention few things regarding this aspect, which you will get a fair bit of idea how this thing has happened. Okay. Now this thing, AMU was basically established by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan during 1875 to 1877. Why I'm saying? Because some of the text talking about 1875, some of the text talking about 1877. So nothing particularly as such, but if I say that time period 1875 to 77, okay, it was basically established during that time. Now, in the next 20 years, it has done very good, raised a lot of funds, and it was basically surviving and thriving that time. And then post the demise of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, it was basically AMU that time faced a little bit of crisis. Okay. Though it was that crisis period, Indian Universities Act came into the being. Okay. And then other universities were also basically enacted. The different legislatures were enacted by the imperial legislature. Okay. Now, that time, I'm just taking you from 1875 to 1920, which is a massive incident in regards to this. In 1920, what has basically happened? In 1920, another very important incident happened. That is inclusion, the AMU, Aligarh Muslim University Act was enacted. And the moment Aligarh Muslim University Act was enacted, there are few things that has been done. Okay. So, in the Aligarh Muslim University Act, there are different sections like section 8, section 23. I'm going to talk about this aspect if I'm going to get to this Aligarh Muslim University Act on online, because it's a very pre-constitution Aligarh Muslim University Act. Okay, so that's why it would be very difficult that you will not find all the amendments regarding the Aligarh Muslim University. That's another challenge that you will get to see. ठीक है, but ये जो बात है मैं आपको दिखाता हूँ कि why this particular aspect will be the section 8 and section 23 would be very interesting. Okay, and the other aspects, because whatever has been mentioned here in DY Chandrachud, it is the post constitutional era, okay, that has been mentioned, which is coming later, because 1920 Act you need to see it, then it will be very interesting for you the rest of the part, how 1951 amendment came into the thing, and then 1965 amendment, and then the rest of the things, how it emerged. Okay, so AMU 1920 Act, okay, this act led to the establishment of Aligarh Muslim University. Okay, now when AMU Act was there, nothing as such controversies that has erupted that time, nothing really. Okay, so 1875, 1877, that time AMU was, that time you can say, the brainchild Sayyid Ahmad Khan, that led to the establishment. Okay, then 1920, the establishment in regards to establishment by the legislature, AMU Act came into being. Then 1951, the first major you say the controversy erupted, 1951 amendment. In the 1951 amendment, the few things have been changed in AMU Act. Okay, so what are the things in AMU Act changed? One of the things is the section 8 AMU Act was changed. Okay, now if section 8 of the AMU Act was changed, section 8 AMU Act, it's regarding the religious instruction. So religious instructions, whatever it has been incorporated regarding the AMU, that was changed, and section 8 was amended. Another very important amendment that is done in relation to section 23. Now, why is that? Section 23 talks about the court. Court was basically main power that is given to the to run this particular university. Okay, now court, majorly the maximum number of people of the court consisted of Muslim community. Okay, now what basically happened, okay, the power of the court reduced by this 1951 amendment. Okay, so 1951 amendment, the power of the court reduced. Okay, and executive council, it plays a very important role at that time. Okay, then another, in 1965, the next very important thing happened. In 1965 amendment, another very important thing happened. That is, power of the court further reduced. The court, which is running the governing body, it was assumed during the 1920 Act, the court, that particular body, it was further reduced, and this time it was made an advisory body. Okay, so 1951 it was reduced, that time executive council given the priority, but in 1965 it made an advisory body. So from the governing body to the advisory body, there is a sudden decline of the power. There is a power crisis that is happening regards to that. Now 1965, post 1965, there is another situation. Then both the amendments, as the power crisis started to show, both the amendments 1951 and 1965 were challenged in the court. And as it was challenged in the Aziz Basa case. Okay, 1951 and 1965, both were challenged in the Aziz Basa case. I don't know this thing is mentioned here or not. Okay, yes, so you will get to see here. Okay, yeah, this particular part, 1951. And if you get to see this part, okay, 1951 amendment, 1965 amendment, constitution bench in the decision is Aziz Basa, Union of India. Okay, it was challenged. Now Aziz Basa, I'll get to why Aziz Basa, get into the reasoning how it has upheld it. Okay, after completing the history itself. So Aziz Basa basically upheld the constitutional validity of 1951 and 1965. What does it mean basically? इसका मतलब ये था कि जो पावर क्राइसिस दिख रहा था, जो पावर छीना जा रहा था मुस्लिम कम्युनिटी से, एट इट वाज प्रिज्यूम्ड दैट टाइम वाया दिस टू अमेंडमेंट 1951 1965, it was basically upheld by the Supreme Court in Aziz Basa case. And that led to the three very interesting situations. AMU no longer becoming a minority university, okay? And that 1967 judgment actually made huge power struggle that led to see in post amendment 1967. In 1967, this what it has happened by Aziz Basa. This after that 1972, there is another amendment came into the picture. Okay, 1 second. Another amendment came into the picture. Now, this amendment is quite interesting. Whatever has Aziz Basa done, it tried to change that particular ruling. As usual, that there are situations where, once again, let me share it again. I got it all this way. It just. Yeah, I hope you were able to see it. So post Aziz Basa, the few things changed again. Okay. What is changed? It is that 1972 and 1981, these two amendments tried to change the ruling by putting certain text in the 1920 Act and basically overruling the Aziz Basa judgment in legislature way. It is called the legislative overruling. Okay. So 1972 and 1981, these two amendments tried to undo the things what Aziz Basa has done. That is calling AMU is a minority university. Okay. So I don't know whether it is D.Y. Chandra mentioned here this thing or not. Okay. And the 1971, let me show you. Okay. Now it's getting into the Anjumani Rahmaniya. Okay. Nothing really. So 1972, this particular part, 1972 amendment brings a very important change. What? Section 5. Section 5 of the 1972, it talks about the promote the study and environment of the study of religion. So what 1972 amendment done, what 1951-65 basically negated that. 1972, for the very first time, it started to emphasize on that thing that study of religion is one of the very important aspects what AMU needs to do. Okay. Section 5 incorporated. Now 1972, while limiting itself to this, 1981 get to the next part. What actually the legislative overruling, if I say. Okay. So what 1981 done? 1981 basically included few things. The preamble, where in the preamble, the few major changes that is there. Okay. So in the preamble, the word establish has been removed. I'll get to see. I'll get to show you. I'll show you this thing. Why this particular word is very important, because Aziz Basa, in the Aziz Basa case, Supreme Court relied on the preamble of the 1920 Act. The reason being, it is written the established by this act that led to the reasoning that it is established by the AMU Act, not by minority. So which I'm going to get into the reasoning, but the basic factual scenario here is the preamble is amended. Okay. Second, definition of university is also included. Okay. Definition of university, which talks about promotion of religion and the Muslim for the sake of or benefit of the Muslim community, which is also included. Section 5.2. talking about the study of religion, Muslim community again. Section 23, which has been basically their power has been reduced by the 1951-1965 Act. Further, court has been given the much larger power by 1981 Act. Now, as a result, what it has been done, now they are trying to, these two amendments trying to show that this AMU is now a minority university. So what Aziz Pasa has done, it tried to basically negate all the ruling. Okay. So, Abhi, jo this particular part, whatever I have talked about, this thing 1981 has done. During this time, I'll just lay down the timeline for you, don't worry. After this particular, whatever I'm going to share the history, okay. During this timeline, then another very important incident happened, okay. That is in 1981, another very important incident happened. Anjuman-e-Rahmaniya, another very important case that was entertained by the Supreme Court. Anjuman-e-Rahmaniya is a two-judge bench. It's not a larger bench like your Aziz Pasa. So Aziz Pasa की तरह ये larger bench नहीं है. But Anjuman-e-Rahmaniya में situations were quite different. Why? Because 1970 to 1981 amendment changed the environment. Now AMU, via the amendment, it was considered as basically minority university, which it was not presumed during the Aziz Pasa time. अभी अंजुमन-ए-रहमानिया में ये बात उठना स्टार्ट हो गया कि whether Aziz Pasa need to be revisited or not. Now, though Anjuman-e-Rahmaniya, it's a two-judge bench. It cannot overrule a larger bench decision. So what Anjuman-e-Rahmaniya has done that time, it basically referred this particular Aziz Pasa judgment to the larger bench. Well, we cannot do that, so we can refer it to the larger bench. But nothing decided in Anjuman-e-Rahmaniya as such. Okay. So Anjuman-e-Rahmaniya, though it's a totally different matter altogether in which it has been talked about, but Aziz Pasa has been referred and Anjuman-e-Rahmaniya tried to deduce the correctness, which I'm going to talk about later. कि Anjuman-e-Rahmaniya में जब judges देखे कि seriously should we need to reconsider the Aziz Pasa? Okay. So that's why they tried to refer it, because they were trying to see the correctness of the Aziz Pasa judgment, which were not able to understand whether Aziz Pasa is a correct judgment or not regarding the minority status or the indication of minority as per Article 30. Okay. ये चीज किया गया. And the moment this thing happened, till 1981, the situations were quite settled. One side, judgment and the judges, Aziz Pasa, they are saying AMU is not a minority university. Next side, amendment 1951-1965 talks about it is not a minority university. 1970-1981 talks about it's a minority university. That's how the whole situation of the AMU. It's interesting. I hope you are liking this particular situation. Now, during this time, nothing much happened. Okay. Next 20 years, 25 years, nothing much happened. In 2005, again, the new twist in the tale is found. Right? In 2005, AMU proposed a reservation policy for the Muslim student in the PG courses. 50% reservation. At the moment that reservation policy struck, it was challenged in the Allahabad High Court. So Allahabad High Court में 2005 में इस reservation policy को challenge किया गया. क्यों? 50% reservation for Muslim community. Can they do that? As per the minority university, they can. But if it's not a minority university, it cannot. That's a very important part here that needed to be understood. So in that case, 2005 Allahabad High Court single judge bench, okay, what it has done a very simple thing. But Aziz Pasa is already decided AMU is not a minority university, and if it's not a minority university, it cannot give 50% reservation to Muslim community. As simple as that. So the reservation policy giving 50% reservation to Muslim, it should be struck down, held unconstitutional. Then and there, first thing is done. Second, what is the next very important thing happened? Next important thing happened is that again in 2006, this particular division bench judgment was challenged. Single judge bench judgment was challenged in the division judgment. 2006, Allahabad High Court, I'm talking about. The moment it is challenged, again, I'll share you the name of the case, don't worry about it, but listen to me, you will get the hang of the history once and for all. You'll never forget this thing, okay? So when the division bench saw the thing, okay, division bench basically reaffirms the same thing what single bench said. Aziz Basa case ने बोला है, अब it cannot be done like that, okay? Division bench, same thing. Said the single bench, uphold the same decision. Fine enough. Now coming to the Supreme Court. In 2019, 3-judge bench Supreme Court get to see that Naresh Agarwal judgment. Okay. And in this judgment, they saw the situation. Aziz Basa, previous case, which is larger than 3-judge bench. What they did, they refer to the higher bench. And they refer to this particular bench, okay, to actually check the veracity and the correctness of the Aziz Basa statement. In 2024, this particular case happened where Aziz Basa has been overruled, okay, which you're going to learn how it is there or what are the reasonings regarding that. Okay, so this is the timeline that is there. This is the timeline I talked about it. I'm going to mention it one by one. You just note it down in your notebook. That will be very, very helpful for your understanding. Okay. तो मैं इस चीज को अगर आप लोगों को कोई चैट है मैं देख लेता हूँ. Any chat is there? As of now, nothing. I hope you are understanding whatever I am sharing with you. If you have any queries, just let me know in the comment box. Okay. तो अभी मैं आप लोगों के साथ टाइमलाइन शेयर करूंगा so that you'll be able to recall it better. ठीक है. तो पहले है the first thing that you need to see. It is one second. Yeah. So first is 1871. 1875. What? 1875 to 1877. I'm not particularly sure about this particular thing because many of the book talking about 1875, which is correct. Many of the text and many of the text talking about 1877. आप भी check कर सकते हो. You find whatever the right answer might be. Yeah. Then that time AMU was first. That time AMU was not the AMU. It is Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College. Okay. Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College. Okay. That was the name of the college when it was established in 1877. That time it was established by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. It was the first Syed. यहाँ पर लिखने में थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है मुझे. अच्छा, एक सेकंड. सैयद अहमद खान. ओके. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, who has done this thing regarding this aspect. Okay. Now, then 1920 Mao College. I'm just putting it in abbreviation. Okay, and nothing to disrespect the AMU or Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College. So this Mao College was basically converted to AMU. Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College was converted to AMU, Aligarh Muslim University. Okay, via 1920 Act. ओके 1920 एक्ट के माध्यम से एएमयू एक्ट के माध्यम से इसको कन्वर्ट किया गया. एएमयू बना, अलीगढ़ मुस्लिम यूनिवर्सिटी बना. देन 1951 फर्स्ट अमेंडमेंट, first important amendment regarding this. I'm not talking about the other amendment which is not that important in that case. ठीक है. So 1951, the few very important sections. Section 8. Section 8 is one of the very important, and Section 23. Okay. One second. Section 23. So Section 8 first talks about the religious instructions that was basically taken down Okay. And section 23, the power of the court reduced and executive council power has been increased. So जो कोर्ट जो बेसिकली मेन गवर्निंग बॉडी था जिसका मेंबर ओनली कैन बी द मुस्लिम, ओके, उसका पावर रिड्यूस किया गया 1951 में. देन 1965 इज बेसिकली हैपेंड. ओके. सो 1965 अनदर थिंग, 1965 में क्या बोला गया, 1965 में पावर ऑफ द कोर्ट फर्दर रिड्यूस्ड. अभी कोर्ट बिकम जस्ट एन एडवाइजरी बॉडी. सेक्शन 23 में ये just an advisory body now. Okay, advisory body, which led to a very huge power crisis ke who is the governing body in that case. Okay, because court, the word court, it is not that court. Court, court, court is consisted of the Muslim community, now become so reduced in comparison to the other governing bodies there. Okay, so this 1951 1965 both were challenged in the Aziz Basa case, which is basically happened to be in 1967. Aziz Basa basically upheld both 1951 1965. Both the amendment were upheld and declared AMU is not a minority university. Okay. I haven't given you the reason as such now, as of now, but this is the thing that I have talked about. Achha. The moment that is said, okay, 1965, Aziz Basa happened. Okay. 1972, 1972, the next thing happened, that is regarding the your amendment, the further amendment. What Aziz Basa has done tried to be undone by another two amendment post Aziz Basa, 1972 and 1981. 1972 talks about the section 5, study of religion. It is needed to be reintroduced. Okay, study of religion and uske environment ऐसा होना चाहिए. So 1972 section 5. Okay, section 5 is an important one. Then 1981, various changes. Definition of university has been incorporated. Okay. Section 5 में मुस्लिम कम्युनिटी के लिए पढ़ाना, रिलीजन मुस्लिम को पढ़ाना, these things are included. That part becomes very important role. And 1981 amendment was a clear cut, crystal clear in the eye of everybody that they tried to basically bring back the minority status what Aziz Basa has taken away. Simply. Okay. And then 1981 में दूसरे जो changes है, court, the power of the court basically given back. Okay, so that they will be the governing body. Court. Okay, COURT, court. Section 23 में changes किया गया 1981. Now during that time 1981 में another very important case happened. Though it is not relation to ratio dissidentity of the Anjumani Rahmaniya will be much important in relation to this case, but Anjumani Rahmaniya basically referred this. Okay. So as a result, Anjumani Rahmaniya happened in 1981, which basically later referred this correctness of this Aziz Basa case, Anjuman-e Rahmaniya. Okay, you can see the name here, Anjumani Rahmaniya. Okay, and then next 24 years, nothing much happened. In 2004, 1 second. So another in 2005, okay, reservation policy came into existence. AMU new reservation policy, which basically gives 50% reservation to Muslim, 50% reservation to Muslim. This reservation policy was challenged in 2005. Okay, and when it was challenged, the very important aspect that needed to be seen regarding that, AMU is not a minority university, so as a result it can't give 50% reservation to Muslim. ठीक है, तो ये नहीं दे सकते. That's why it was challenged. And later, this particular single judge bench Allahabad High Court held this reservation policy unconstitutional in 2005. Okay. The case name, I have written down the case name. मैं आप लोगों के लिए बता देता हूँ what is the case name. Okay. It is Naresh Agarwal versus Union of India. Okay. Naresh Agarwal versus Union of India. Naresh Agarwal versus Union of India. in 2005. That is the first case, single judge bench case. Now, in the division judge bench case, Aligarh Muslim University versus Malay Sukla. Okay, in the division judge bench, Aligarh Muslim University versus Malay Sukla. Okay, Malay Sukla. Division judge bench, Malay Sukla. So this particular case talks about the next part. Reaffirming the single judge bench again, 2005. Okay. Now in 2019, the few things happened. Okay. In 2019, 3-judge bench checked the correctness of these 2 judgments of Allahabad High Court, and that time they referred this judgment to larger bench, and 2014 this particular judgment came. Okay, so this is the background history to this particular situation, whatever we have talked about. I hope you understood. If you don't understand, do let me know in the comment box regarding this aspect. Okay, if I see any comment, I'm just checking it. Okay, I'm just checking it once. No, not really, nothing. This is the whole history that I have shared with you as of now. Okay, I hope you have understood. If you have any query, you can ask me. Now, I'll give you few understanding regarding this aspect. Okay, why Aziz Basa talked about this particular aspect, which we in the coming video we are going to talk about in detail how this particular reasoning has been given by Aziz Basa. Okay, which you will get to understand. And further, Article 30, understanding. Okay. Now, Aziz Basa has few reasoning regarding this aspect. Okay, Aziz Basa के पास कुछ reasoning थे कि क्यों अलीगढ़ मुस्लिम यूनिवर्सिटी को basically was not declared as minority university. Okay, so as per the Article 30, minority university has to be Aligarh, the minority university has to be decided based on the Article 30. Okay, right to establish and right to administer. Now, Aziz Basa case, I'm telling you briefly. Aziz Basa case basically talked about this right to establish and administer, both have to be read very, very conjunctively. ठीक है, और उसके पीछे रीजन ये दिया गया कि आप अगर एडमिनिस्टर कोई एस्टैब्लिश जब करेगा तभी वो एडमिनिस्टर कर सकता है. ठीक है, इसका मतलब ये है कि इफ एनी यूनिवर्सिटी इज नॉट एस्टैब्लिश्ड बाय माइनॉरिटी, then by the sheer effort of administration it cannot be called a minority university. ठीक है, हाँ. So establishment by minority community is to be the must, and then administration will be done by the minority community. So here in this particular case, the establishment of the minority community is missing. How? Aziz Basa said in 1920 जो AMU का एक्ट बना, ठीक है, इसमें one interesting thing happened. What? This particular act led to the foundation of AMU. Okay, so as a result, the most important part is that there is a section 3 and 4 in the AMU Act where Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College converted to AMU, that was written. Okay, and all the assets and all the rights are converted to AMU. So what Aziz Basa basically read into that section 3-4 of the AMU Act is that कि इसमें मोहम्मदन एंग्लो ओरिएंटल कॉलेज जो था इसका सरेंडर ऑफ राइट्स हो गया. ठीक है, सरेंडर ऑफ राइट्स मतलब it actually loses its existence and minority status then and there. And when AMU was born under 1920, so that AMU basically established by a legislature, imperial legislature, by AMU Act 1920, which takes away the minority status from the AMU itself, which was existing when it was Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College. I am not getting into the reasoning right now. I'm just telling you what Aziz Basa talked about. Whether right or wrong, I'll talk about in the next class, okay, regarding this aspect, okay. Now, the next very important part they talked about, entry 63 list 1. Entry 63 list 1 talks about AMU, which I'll show it to you in the next class, which basically make AMU a university of national importance. So whenever a university of national importance is there, that it was presumed that this particular university loses or has lost or it has more government control than the minority control. ठीक है, जब ये national importance के हो जाते हैं, what Aziz Basa said, it more parliament or center basically controlling its power rather than it by minority community. Okay. And 1920, that act talks about the establishment and incorporation of the AMU. That two word, establishment and incorporation, that led to further believing in Aziz Basa court, no, Aziz Basa judgment, that this AMU was established, because this established word that is found in Article 30 is basically the same word. So AMU was established, and the preamble of the AMU Act suggesting that same establishment, further proving that AMU Act establishes that AMU University. Okay, so all those basic reason giving birth the one very simple conclusion that AMU was not a minority university. It was created by a central legislature, and it is under entry 63 list 1. Minority does not have much importance. 1951, 1965, both are basically taken down the power from the court, the Muslim community. Study of religion have been reduced, and all those factors led to Aziz Basa judgment said कि नहीं, Aziz Basa judgment में एक चीज बोला गया, it's not a minority community, minority university. ठीक है. So this is the part I have shared, and I have shared as a story. I hope you understood whatever I have talked about in this particular class. Okay. Now, in the coming class, regarding the second part, I will talk about it, what court said in 2024, and Aziz was a further elaboration of that, and Article 30 regarding what Article 30 all about and how it is to be understood regarding this aspect. Okay. So any query that you have right now regarding this particular case, you can mention it in the chat box if you have any query regarding this aspect, okay. So this particular part will be very, very interesting, okay, when we're going to talk about next. Today we're not going to further because we have also class from 7, so that thing is there, okay. And hope you like the video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, do subscribe to it, okay. And do let me know what are the other cases to be discussed. I have started with this, and if you haven't checked the video of the 5 most important constitutional cases, do check that video, okay. And another thing, there are so many questions that I'm getting from the student: is this the right time to talk about, is this the right time to start the preparation? Definitely it is the right time to start the preparation, because most of the top rankers, they start their preparation in the last 5-6 months every year. आपको लग रहा है कि कम टाइम है, बोले ऐसा नहीं है, ठीक है. इफ यू डू इट स्मार्टली, इफ यू नो इट स्मार्टली हाउ टू डू इट, then it is the best time to start your preparation, and do it accordingly, okay. If you need help from the coaching, if you need help from any other professors or anyone else, ठीक है, टेक द हेल्प, ठीक है. अगर जुडिशरी की हेल्प लेना है, जुडिशरी की हेल्प लो. बाकी कोचिंग की हेल्प लेना है, बाकी कोचिंग की हेल्प लो. वॉट एवर यू फील इट्स सुटेबल, ठीक है, but take the help. That's how you'll be able to prepare and attempt it, okay. And this is the best time. I'll tell you, this is the best time. And if you have any other doubt why it is the best time, should we start it, should I wait for another year or something, no. अगर another year wait भी करना है, इसी साल start करो, so that you will be way ahead. Next year अगर आपको देना भी है, you will get to understand how the exam is, what kind of question paper is, and also your preparation will give you lot of edge next time, okay. So for 4th year, 5th year, all the students, I'll tell you, attempt the exam irrespective of whether you are going for CLAT PG or not. I always say the preparation of CLAT PG will put you in different, give you different edge than other student in any of the other competitive exam or this or academic field, क्योंकि यहाँ पर बहुत सारे चीज आपको पढ़ने पड़ते हैं. Judgment, that will shape your legal mind, okay, altogether. So if you have any query, do let me know in the comment box. Thank you. See you again next time, okay. One second, देखो दूसरा चीज खोल गया.